Hello, crafty friends. Welcome. I'm going to create some cards using the BetterPress of the month for December. This one is called Sun and the Moon. This one's so unique. It has a gorgeous plate with an illustration of the sun and the moon and then some rays around it. It also comes with 4 different sentiments. 2 of them are curved, so one will curve above the plate and one will curve under it. I'm also going to be using the wax seal of the month. This one correlates really well with the BetterPress plate. It says, "Love you to the moon and back." It also comes with some wax beads. The color I received is coral. So let's begin our first project. I'm inking up the sun and the moon plate with some mulberry ink. I like to ink it up several times so that I can get a nice impression. The cardstock I'm going to stamp the plate into is called Velvet Rose. I tape that to the door of the BetterPress system. Now I can take this off camera, run it through my Platinum 6, and let's see how this turned out. Here is a close-up look. The illustration is so pretty. And then you have to remember that it embosses as well. I cut out a piece of sticky note paper so that I can create a mask for my piece. I used one of Spellbinders circle dies and it fit just perfectly over this face so that I can do a little bit of ink blending over this panel. Starting out with some black soot around the edges. I'm trying to create a nighttime scene with this, kind of like a galaxy card, except for the colors aren't going to be too dark. After I'm done with the black, I'm going to bring in some picked raspberry. I'll put this down right across the center. And then I'm going to bring in some cream-colored ink. This one is called Antique Linen. Trying to darken up the sides a little bit more. Then I can peel off the sticky note paper. And I'm going to use the negative piece to this and kind of stencil the faces. I'm using some light yellow ink. I didn't want it too dark. Just kind of go across faces with this ink. This will make them appear to glow just a little bit. I'm going to put this in my splat box and add some white spatter to it. I'm using some bleed-proof white ink to do this. I'm putting it onto an acrylic block and then I'll add a little bit of water. And then I can use my brush just to kind of spatter around this panel. I'll keep spattering until I get lots of little fine stars on this panel. And then I'm going to set this aside to dry for a few minutes. I'll add some tape runner to the back of this card and attach it to some brushed black cardstock. I'm going to use the sentiment that kind of curves around the sun and the moon. And I cut out the sentiment with a piece of white cardstock. This will help pull it out from the pink background because I stamped out my sentiment with the pink as well. And to make it pop even a little bit more, I'm going to add some foam strips. I took off the backing to this so that I can kind of mold it around the curve. It's easier that way. I'll snip off the excess and then I'll just attach this under the moon. I did go ahead and add a few black sequins around this card as well. And here is a close-up look. This is a really unique club kit this month. I just love it. I'm going to use the same plate on card number 2. This time I'm going to emboss it with some gold embossing powder. I'll press it into a piece of porcelain white cardstock using some Versamark ink. This is the heavyweight cardstock that they sell along with the BetterPress system. And then I can attach the door and I'll take it off camera and run it through the BetterPress. Now I can pour over the gold embossing powder. You can kind of see the impression because it still has some of that pink ink on there. I thought I cleaned it off really good. Apparently not, but that's okay. The gold powder is going to completely cover up the pink ink. This is some Reflections gold that I purchased at Michael's. It's a really pretty gold, really bright, but they have so many gorgeous gold embossing powders on the market. It took me a little bit longer to melt this powder just because the cardstock is very heavyweight, and again, it's pressed into the paper. And here's a close-up look once it's done. I'm also going to be using the wax seal of the month, which really coordinates well with the BetterPress. The seal says, "Love you to the moon and back." And I'm going to melt some gold wax beads instead of the coral ones that came with it. Just had these in my stash. And then once this has melted, I'll pour it onto my silicone mat and guide the wax seal into it. I like to try and get an even border around the seal. And it worked out pretty well this time. I allowed that to sit for about a minute. Then I can pull off the seal. Let me give you a close-up look at this. I'm going to be creating a square card this time. I don't often make square cards, but all of the elements for this card just seem to go along better with a square card. So I'm using some more Dusty Rose cardstock. I'll attach that to my card base. And then I kind of deconstructed the moon and sun and the rays. I kind of cut them apart a little bit. But here's a piece of brushed gold cardstock that I cut out with a Everlasting Circle die from Spellbinders. And I used a smaller circle die in the center to cut out the moon and sun. But I'm first going to glue down the rays. Just going to go all the way around this panel with the tape runner. And then I'll center it on the brushed gold circle. I do end up peeling this up just a little bit to put the moon under the side of the ray. I just wanted to kind of tuck this under so you just see one face this time. But fortunately, the brushed gold has kind of a sheen to it. It was easy to peel up. So I'll stick the moon there, and you can kind of see the gold on the right-hand side of the moon, which looks like another moon. And then I'm going to peel up the right side and add some gold thread to this. This is kind of a mixed media card. I love how this one turned out. But I'll double this. And then I'm going to tuck it under and tie a bow. This is the gold embroidery floss that I use on the stitched dies. It works here really well for a delicate bow. Once I have this tied, I'm going to put a glue dot underneath it to keep it in place. The sentiment is going to go right over the bottom of the moon, and I'm just going to glue this down flat. This sentiment says, "Shine like the universe is yours." And then last, I'll add my seal. I'm going to use one of the Spellbinders seal stickers for this. These stickers make attaching your seals so easy. And then I'll end up putting this right above the bow. I did add a little bit of gold paint pen over this seal to bring out the sentiment a little bit more. And here's a close-up look at the finished card. I added a few gold gems around the seal. And look at all of that pretty shine. Well, I hope you enjoyed my 2-card projects using December's BetterPress Club and the Wax Seal Club. I'll have all of the links for you in the description box if you want to check these out. I hope you all have a wonderful crafty day. Bye.